Billy, it was fun watching you during the TGL. You're kind of nodding to yourself. What a cool celebration as you reflect back on the TGL season. Certainly was a lot of fun to watch. How'd you feel going through it and ultimately winning a championship?
Yeah, I had a blast. I think I talked about it all year. It was something new. It was something added to the game of golf. I was a big proponent from day one when Mike McCarley reached out to me in early 22 about joining TGL and being part of the league. I just thought, I think the game of golf is the greatest sport in the world. It can open up so many doors. It can create so many connections, create relationships that you never would imagine in your life. And so if there's a way to show golf in a different light, introduce people to the game of golf and show them there's other ways to be a part of it, I'm always for that. And TGL does that. And I think this year was a great year. I think we had a really successful first year. I think there's things we can do better, but I think for first year, we set a really solid foundation to build upon going forward.
Billy, you've always known for having a passion for team golf, certainly for those of us who were there watching you at Royal County Down in the Walker Cup almost 20 years ago at this point. So it wasn't a surprise to see you embrace TGL as much as you did. Were you surprised at how much other players seemed to embrace it as the season went on?
Yeah, I think, I think everyone was a little nervous at the beginning. You could see that in the matches. You could see that just completely sort of, I would say, out of our, arena. We're used to playing outside, outdoors, and we're playing inside in a simulator with people and video boards and music and people yelling at us and people, cheering for us. You can hear them pull against us and everything. And I think that was something that was so unique. I mean, this is what other athletes and other sports experience. And I think as guys went along, they embraced it a lot. I mean, obviously, JT and I, you knew we were going to embrace it. But I think what people understand is Patrick Cantley did an unbelievable job. There's a photo that I have that was taken of my celebration when I made the putt and what JT was doing. And Patrick Cantley's in the background with his arms raised, looking up, screaming and everything. And you could see that, like, he enjoyed it. Now, is he going to do be at our level, JT and I's level? No, but what he did was organic. You saw a side of Patrick where he's really, we knew he's methodical, but just the way he thinks about the hammer and the strategy aspect of it, I think people saw, a little bit more in the Patrick Cantley and who he is.
Look, Billy, that birdie putt, that monster birdie putt to seal it was incredible. I don't think that was the star of the show in watching that night. I thought it was the family Horschel. I thought it was your daughter demanding that you get the Dirty Bird chain and get it to your teammates. And as a father of three, I'm watching you say, honey, I'm going to get it to him. How much fun was it to watch your daughter, your kids, your wife be on hand and celebrate it in what felt like an incredibly different vibe from any other tournament you win?
Yeah, my little boy, Axel, he's really into golf. So anything golf related, he was going to be into. But my two girls, they watch a little bit of golf in the sense of they'll come watch me play, but their first match was during President's Day weekend, and they absolutely loved it. We were supposed to leave after the first match because I wasn't playing the second one. We wound up staying because they wanted to stay and experience it more and be a part of it more. So to see my two daughters really be involved, Skylar wasn't able to make it to the match, to the final. She had her some cheer practice that she had to be ready for cheer competition last weekend. But yeah, I mean, to see my kids be into it, those are who we're trying to draw. We're trying to draw on a younger fan base, and the numbers show that we had the second youngest fan base behind NBA. The number of viewers from the 1849 range was a lot higher than what we have on the PGA Tour. So. Yeah, I mean, my family enjoyed it. I think they're a little sad that there's no more TGL for a little while, but yeah, it was nice to experiencing, doing something new and having them be, closer to the action than you would say on a PGA Tour event.
Well, there's always the par 3 contest next week at Augusta National for the kids as well, Billy. You were here a couple of years ago, and you were very open about wanting to improve your record in major championships, said that you thought you'd underperformed versus the rest of your career to that point. And you certainly showed that last year with top 8 finishes in a couple of majors, very close at Royal Troon. Why do you think at Augusta is a place that you haven't actually performed to your normal level out there? Is there anything about that course in particular that frustrates you in some way?
I don't think it's anything that has to do with the golf course. I think I understand when when I understand a golf course requires precision, a high level of precision, which is what Augusta does, especially with iron shots and placing the ball in the right spot. And if you miss, sometimes you miss in a bad spot, and it really, punishes you for that. I just get a little too tight. I try to be too perfect, and that's my perfectionism in me. I've got to understand that, I've seen enough guys play Augusta and not be perfect. They don't hit perfect golf shots, and they're missing it in the proper spots to be able to, allow themselves to get up and down for par, or avoid a disaster. So I just think, majors have always been, my bugaboo. I think I've done a better job over the last, handful of years. The results may not show it, but I think the way I felt, the way I prepared, the relaxation I've had more in majors has been a lot better than early in my career. And yes, I would like the results to have showed up sooner, but I think last year showed, the progression I've made over the last handful of years, and hopefully, the how well I played in the majors last year can continue into this year.
Billy, there's something to be said for watching Augusta, being there as a fan, and then playing it. And this will be your 10th time doing it. As you speak about the journey through what it's like playing there, but what is it just like stepping on the grounds there at Augusta, being there playing in that Masters that some of us will just never know what it's like to be inside the ropes there?
Yeah, I've played this my 10th Masters. I've missed 2 in the last 12 or 13 years, and both times I missed them. I've absolutely, it's been awful to watch it on TV and not be able to experience it. And I think missing the 2 Masters I've had, especially last year, just gives me more, more gratitude, like to enjoy the experience more. I understand that there is a time limit and how many Masters I'm going to be able to play if I don't win one. And so I'm trying to go this year and enjoy everything about Augusta, playing on the golf course, trying to hit the quality golf shots, having the fans pull for you, hear the roars, experience with your family and your kids. I mean, my kids are absolutely excited to get back there. So I think, being inside the ropes is very nervous because, it's the one major we go back to year in, year out. Everyone knows the golf shots, and the historic aspect of the course and the tournament itself. And I think it lends itself to great golf, but also to a pressure of wanting to perform and be a part of history and legacy that the Masters has had for decades.
Well, there's a lot of talk about, I suppose, a reunification or the desire for it in the game these days. And I thought Scottie Scheffler had an interesting reaction a couple of weeks ago, and he was asked about it when he said to the media, well, you guys should go ask the guys who actually divided the game. Therefore, he was kind of implying that the onus just isn't on the PGA Tour alone to resolve this issue. Is that a view you would share?
Yeah, listen, I mean, we've had the PGA Tours, had their own little part in playing it. I mean, both sides, as I said, both sides have had their own hand and this whole situation over the last 3 or 4 years. But I would say on the PGA Tour side, we as players get asked more often about it, about, reunification, the talks, what they want. And I would say, I follow the media for the most part. I would say they don't get asked nearly as much as a lot of us out on the PGA Tour. The questions aren't asked of the players. The questions aren't asked of the executives out there as much as it is on the PGA Tour. So, listen, I mean, as I've said, everyone who's been in the game over the last several years at the professional level and the PGA Tour level and live golf, I mean, we've all had a part in the situation that we find ourselves in. But hopefully, there's some resolution here in the future. I know we've all been saying that for the last 18 months, but it is a very difficult thing to figure out, and it's no different than 2 big companies trying to figure out how to merge together.
Billy, it's kind of reached its summit coming off of TGL, the conversation around looking to the end of September, looking to Bethpage in the Ryder Cup and saying, as an American, that's the kind of guy we want up there. It's going to be a zoo. He's a team guy. He's got the clutch gene. He's got the passion. You've spoken recently with the fearlessness about what you need to go do to be a part of your first ever Ryder Cup team. How much of what you're doing this season is going to be fueled towards being a part of that group?
Listen, I mean, it's obviously been a goal of mine to make a Ryder Cup team, and every year Ryder Cup, every time we're in a Ryder Cup year, I'm very well aware of, I haven't been part of a Ryder Cup team, and but I can't solely focus on that. I can't have that be the driving force. At the end of the day, I've got to try and continue to get better as a player, continue to improve as a person, and hopefully through those gains as improvement that I can finally make a Ryder Cup team. And listen, I've done a lot of things in my career. I'm very, grateful for and the wins I've had. And, do I feel like I should be on a Ryder Cup team? Yeah. But have I done what I need to in sense of playing consistent golf, especially leading up to the Ryder Cup with, 3, 4, 5 months of consistent golf leading into the Ryder Cup? I haven't done that. And that's sort of been, the Achilles heel a little bit, that I just haven't played as well over a period of time as the other 12 guys. So, I'm in the best situation that I think I've ever been in my career. At this stage, 6 months out from a Ryder Cup, I think if I can continue to improve and continue to play well and play consistency well, I think, hopefully it lends itself to being part of a Ryder Cup team. And I would love to be a part of that zoo in New York, because I know it is going to be a zoo. It's going to be the craziest Ryder Cup ever. And to be on a team, I've always enjoyed it. I've always, had the mindset, whatever the team needs from me, I'm willing to do, and to be able to get a victory. And hopefully you see me in the red, white, and blue in September in Bethpage.
Well, given that you won the European Tour's flagship event and almost won the Open, those guys would probably take you on their team as well. Billy, I'm not sure you'd necessarily want to play for them. Speaking of this passion that you're well known for, there was a funny story in Golf Weekly recently about the PGA Tour's new media building and the profanity bleeper, which suggested that it gets a little bit of a workout whenever you're on the feed. Billy, is that accurate? And please mind your language while you're responding to that question.
Listen, I love Adam, and who wrote the article? Adam Shupak. I don't know if I said his name right. I don't think I've ever said his name right. And he's a great writer, and I have a great relationship with him. When he asked me, and he sort of said something like, obviously, you're one of the reasons why they had the red button. Listen, I've never been fined on the PGA Tour for saying a cuss word. Obviously, it's been caught on air, but at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, there's some times that I get caught, but I don't think I'm the biggest by any means. And, as I said, I understand there's, the cable aspect of not having that language being shown, but you hear in other sports, sometimes through the TV, and I don't think they get reprimanded, like the PGA Tour player does. But listen, am I happy that I, say some words on TV sometimes that aren't, PG? No, but listen, I'm a competitive, you can add the back end of that sentence. And, in the heat of the moment, I'm going to, something that comes up, it's going to be natural. I'm not going to fake it. And listen, I've tried to do a better job. I try to be aware of when there's a mic around, but at the end of the day, if I hit a bad shot and it's in a big moment, a word may come out, and I may not be, obviously it's not my fondest moment, but listen, I'm going to be me. I've always been me. I think people understand that what they see is what they get. And I think for the most part, people do appreciate, the authenticity that I bring.
Oh, no doubt. Billy, count me as one of them. You always let it rip. I can't let you go without saying this. As a college basketball analyst, I spent a lion's share of my work this year covering your Florida Gators. You're a big Gator. Are you going to be locked in Saturday night and then hopefully Monday night? And what's your take on your boys getting ready for a big weekend here?
Yeah, we will be watching in our household. We were watching Saturday night up in Nashville at my daughter's cheer event. I didn't think it was looking good for us, and Thomas Houck started the comeback, and Walter Clayton finished it off. But listen, we have, I think, the best team we've ever had at the University of Florida, and that's saying something when we've had two national teams in 06 and 07 with Al Horford, Corey Brewer, Joe Kim Noah, Torian Green, Lee Humphrey. Those guys were impressive, but I think this team, we're a deeper team. We can win in many different ways. We're a deeper shooting team from behind the arc. We have some big guys that can play and move. Defensively, we get after it. So I think, hopefully we've got 2 more wins under our belt, and I think if that leads, if that happens, I think this will be go down as the best basketball team in Florida history.
Wow, I love it. I love it.
Well, Billy, hopefully you'll have two things to celebrate next week when it comes to the win column out there. Always great catching up with you. Look forward to seeing you in Augusta.
Thanks, guys. See you there.